Coming up, there's big money on the line as we hit the semi-final stages. We bring you the best in the business from the hottest game in the world, poker. We've got our first 3 players through to the final table, and it's already looking like one of the meatiest poker games you could get. Tony G is telling everyone that he's the chip leader at the final table. We'll have to see if it stays that way after tonight's heat. Also in the final internet qualifier, Paul Christopherson and Johnny Texas Houston. Another 3 players will be joining them from tonight's match, taking their chips with them in hot pursuit of the first prize of $200,000. Cowboy Kenna James and Jesse May are your commentary team. Let's get the lowdown from them.
Spit and shine and show me the polish. Jesse May here for the second Party Poker semifinal with the Cowboy Kenna James.
Oh, thanks, Jess. Always nice to saddle up next to you here on the Party Poker World Open.
Big action today. It is the second semifinal, and last week, of course, Tony G played a stormer to get through with $282,000 in the final. Do the players today have some extra work to do to catch up?
Well, they should keep their eyes set on today. Only 3 seats left, a 3-month journey through all these preliminaries to qualify for these last precious seats. Really excited to get down to the action and see what's going to happen.
3 from 6 go through. Let's see who's in that circular action round the table.
I'm Lawrence Bonet. I'm from Sarasota, Florida in the States, and this is my first trip to London, and I'm just having a great time. Fairly happy with my chances. I think that I have a chance of making a good showing.
My name's Conor Tate. I'm from Bury, the north of England, originally from Ireland, Lurgan in Ireland. My biggest achievement to date is coming 12th in the World Series in 2005, picking up $600,000. Any one of the 12 that's remaining in the tournament can win this. So just do my best. I've no game plan just as yet, but as it goes, we'll see.
My name's Lyttle, from Belfast. I work in the Winners Club in Belfast Casino. And the biggest poker achievement be this tournament.
My name is Liam Flood. And I'm from Maynooth, County Kildare, Ireland. There will be certain situations where I probably would have played or gambled, and I won't be doing that today. Although, because I'm an aggressive player, I'll probably be first out.
I'm Pippa Flanders, and I come from Preston in Lancashire. If I'm in the right mindset, it seems to go quite well. And if I'm not, you don't hit cards and it's horrible and you might as well get up and go, and sometimes that's just what you do.
My name's Kev Atkin. I'm a builder from Chelmsford, Essex in England. I've been playing poker for 2 years and I'm an online qualifier. This is only the second time I've played live. Previous time won about €3,500. What I love about the game is the overall challenge, really. I just enjoy pitting myself against other people.
Oh boy, I remember every one of those heats, there were some stormers. There's going to be some naked aggression on this table.
Well, it was interesting preliminaries getting here, and now with these dynamics should add to the excitement. How about what's happening in Ireland? We have both Conor Tate, Brian Lyttle, and the elder statesman Liam Flood, all from Ireland at this table. Lawrence Bonet from the U.S., Kevin Atkin, the local favorite, and don't forget that lone filly, Pippa Flanders.
So many of the players tonight dominated their table. Is there anyone that's going to dominate this one? Could be Flood.
Well, who will make their appearance? It seems like the format has been, one person gets lucky and one person is always facing decisions, they're out, and then the other 4 are left to fight for those 2 seats.
It could fall fast. There's only 3 go through. Let's fly on over to the table and catch this flicker of the action. This is where they separate the big uns from the Lyttle Pikers. Second semifinal. And who's the favorite out of these 6? They're all tough, but eyes could certainly be on Liam Flood, the gentleman from Ireland, who played one of the fastest heats in recorded history, Kenna, to get to this semifinal. He is aggressive.
He doesn't look that fast, does he?
He doesn't, but he can move those chips. Conor Tate, you talk about perfect poker. Tate is a proponent of that kind of play. And I don't know who can stop him. The chips on this table tonight, 100,000 a player, 1,000 for the yellows, 2,000 for the blues. The reds are worth 5,000. And average chips at that final will be 200,000, but all you have to do is make the final 3 to carry your chips forward. And it was interesting last week, Kenna, to see which players wanted to push it and which players wanted to hang about.
Well, that is the strategy, to find out early who wants to survive and just make the final, and who's going for the gusto and setting themselves up to be a chip leader to contend for that $200,000 first prize once they get there.
Raise.
Liam Flood, he got good cards at the right time in his heat, and I can just get the feeling that if he picks up cards tonight, he is going to be so dangerous. He could have 500,000.
He certainly could. There's supposed to be 3 that goes through. He might forget about that and say, I want every chip at the table. He, the key thought that Liam has is he loves, as you know, he loves to win his first hand. That's so important for him, and getting here, he thrusted his fist in the air when he won his first hand, and this one he took quietly.
Yeah, you're right. He went post to post in his heat. He's looking to do it again now by taking this first pot with a raise and take it.
Chip leader now, lads.
Here's Pippa with the Cowboys.
Well, it's Pippa's turn. She's the only one that has yet to have a W. And she's got a good shot here with 2 kings. She brings it in for
7,000 total.
Rather 7,000. Oh boy.
Well, this is going to be tricky for Kev Atkin. I mean, he'll be well aware of Pippa's tendencies.
Call.
Yeah. But this is the situation I was talking about, Jesse, that's automatically developed here. It may be Atkin who is the player that faces the tough decisions. The game seems to deal out, although Conor Tate now with ace-jack also has a bit of a thought.
I mean, Conor Tate is on the button right now. Should that influence him? Wow, he doesn't seem to think so. What a great laydown.
It is, and makes it very quickly, Not even a consideration with a raise under the gun and a call to play ace-jack, and that's top-notch poker.
It's 5,000 on Flood to be part of a multi-way pot. I have to say, with the hands that are out there, you have to like the way Kev Atkin has played this pot. Not to be a big pot unless he wants it.
Exactly. Well, he's protecting his stack.
I didn't think flops were allowed this game.
Pippa Flanders has just flopped a boat. She has enough to check for sure. Oh my gosh.
11,000 total.
This is, we were talking about some players just seem to get the right cards, and Pippa Flanders seems like she may be the beneficiary of this so far.
Yep. Well, remember, she won that big hand and cracked 2 aces, in which vaulted her to win her way here, and now flopping top full house against Kevin Atkin.
Yeah, he's drawing dead to runner, runner, ace. And there's only 2 left in the deck. That's not one of them. He now is really drawing dead. What should Pippa do? Is she going to check again?
I think so. When your hand is that big, and you can see she's got the...
I'll bet, please. 15,000.
She elects to bet.
Now, can Kev Atkin work this out? How should he replay this hand right now?
Well, I think he can get away from this hand. He's got to remember she's raised before the flop. She's shown no weakness in check calling. She could be trapping, and in fact she is. And I think he'll work this out. He's a conservative and solid player. And I think he'll fold up shop here.
It seems to me, Canada. Wow, he has made a fold. Great fold. I was going to say sometimes players play huge hands the same way that they play absolutely nothing, and it's sometimes hard to decide. But the full house for Pippa Flanders, putting her on
I
top.
smacked the table.
She did that.
I feel like Kevin Atkin
but
slipped out of some trouble there.
Right.
He did.
Your opinion is very
The
important.
game tested him. As you can see, Eeyore once again being buried behind the stacks of
So
Pippa
that's what happens
Flanders.
when there's a flop.
Don't know what happens to Eagles. Oh, that's the first.
Well, we've seen Kings full already. Don't get to see that every blue moon. And Kev Atkin, who, as you said, Kenna, has been tested severely already by the game, has, in my mind, passed with flying colors.
Yeah, if Kevin Atkin is the one that the game is going to test,
Raise.
it should. I believe he'll be up for the challenge. Now
6,000
Brian Lyttle
total.
stepping out, making it 6,000 to go with Ace-8 in position over to Liam Flood in the small blind.
This is Brian Little's first pre-flop raise of the semifinal. Pippa Flanders paying no heed, peeling off the flop with the Queen-10 suited.
Well, she's shown a propensity to defend her big blind. She does so here with what's called Varconi, the Queen-10 of hearts.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, and she's got a big flop here, a straight draw and a flush draw.
That's a very big flop. Interesting to see how she's going to play this. Whether she's going to check and try and take the free card or put the heat on.
I'll bet, please. 10,000. 10,000.
Aggression, her course of action. And is it time for Little to give up shop?
Absolutely. Brian Lyttle, very sharp player. Nice fold by Brian Little. Even though he was winning with ace high, Pippa was the favorite with a big flop like that.
I think it is a good fold. It seems sometimes when Pippa Flanders is betting, it's so easy to think that she has nothing. We saw her play big hands and small hands exactly the same way.
Exactly right, Jessie May, and that's the thing. You can underestimate her,
Not a good sound.
and she will take your chips.
Just talked to Stephen Pierce. Looking at the leaderboard, they've played 10, and it's been fairly even, although Pippa Flanders has gotten the lion's share of the chips so far.
Yep, she's gobbled up 25,000. And perhaps it's Pippa that the game will shine on and give her the gold.
Pass.
Raise.
Raise.
Swinging now
6,000 total.
is Liam Flood.
Pass.
And I was going to say, that's the danger for
Pass.
Liam Flood if Pippa Flanders decides to make a play behind him, but she's given him a wide berth here. And if everybody does, Liam could storm.
He could. Well, I like Liam Flood's table position because the situational aggressive players are to his right. And they're the ones that are most likely to pick up on his hand frequency and remove on him. Such as Conor Tate here now, going to challenge him with pocket threes.
Yeah, Conor Tate just paying 4,000 from the big blind for the flop, and it'll be his action when the board comes down. Not a bad flop for 2 threes.
No, a very good flop for 2 threes, and this could spell trouble for Liam Flood if he wants to get stubborn.
Check. 9,000.
I mean, will Conor be well aware that it could be very expensive for him to find out information here, couldn't it?
Call.
Absolutely. But Conor knows that his opponent, Liam Flood, is much more favored to have 2 overcards rather than a big pair, so that's why he check calls.
Well, this is danger now. It went 9,000 call on the flop. The turn has brought Flood a flush draw, and he'll want a spade, a 6, or a king.
Well, what's interesting is will he check it for free or try and buy it? He ends up knuckling the felt and taking the free card, which doesn't help his hand.
Check.
And now elects to make an ill-advised bluff, I think, but
15,000.
perhaps it's enough heat.
It's not a small bluff, is it?
No, and you know what I love about this bet is it's a queen. Now that's very likely to have made a raiser's hand and is going to put Tate in the hot box with the decision. If the card had come a 6 or a 5, you know, an 8, something like that, it would have been an easy call for Conor Tate. But the fact that that's another paint card makes it a very difficult decision.
He is one of the best thinkers in the game. I can't wait to see what he's going to do, but I can't imagine how he could call.
Well, I think he's looking now at Liam Flood and trying to give... See, you can see the queen bothers him. Because people raise with king, queen, ace, queen. The queen is a dangerous card. But now, did you see him look at Liam, and Liam kind of brush his hair and acts so relaxed that he may pick that up as a sign that Liam is acting strong, which actually communicates weakness, and he may make this call.
Big percentage of his chips. I mean, it's hard to say it's a seminal moment in the game, but it's going to be the difference between being a chip leader or a chip loser.
Pass.
And he's laid it down. Flood got away with it. What do you think was the overriding factor there?
The queen, for sure. Very big scare card. It just really minimizes the number of hands that Conor Tate could beat at that point. He really could only beat a bluff. Perhaps ace-king or ace-10, and that's about it. So that's why I elected to lay it down.
The gentleman, Liam Flood, picking the pocket of Conor Tate.
Well, that answers that question. The Irish against the Irish.
Oh, there's no friendly soft play here.
I'm telling you, this is just true to life, this poker is, isn't it?
It sure is. And Liam Flood, I don't know if he's announced it to the table, but as far as we can see, he is here to acquire chips and not play friendly.
Call. Pass. Pass.
Just wondering if Flanders is giving too much away by limping in. Although we did see her do a limp re-raise in her heat.
Cool.
That
Yeah.
got her into all sorts of trouble.
Well, here it's going to keep her away from trouble, as Brian Lyttle, if she knows that he's a solid player, she should be able to get away from this hand without even seeing the flop.
7,000 from Lyttle in the big blind with the ace-jack.
Call.
Pippa's going to peel off the flop. Dangerous for her. I imagine Conor Tate will get out of the way.
Well, you know, Pippa's run very well in situations, even when she's been dominated. I fully expect a 9 to come out here.
Really, the ace would be the only disaster for Flanders. And there it is.
Ace 4-3, no 9. This is going to actually put Pippa now to the test.
And just see how expensive the 7,000 she called before the flop could be now. Huh?
Exactly. Sometimes
7,000.
you think it's only
Raise.
7,000, but it
Raise.
turns out to be a lot more, because you're faced with, when you get a bad flop like this, it really gets you in trouble.
With 15.
Pippa's announced a raise of 15,000.
more.
And
22 total.
she's asking for information from Lyttle. What kind of information will he give back to her?
Well, that's the thing. I don't think she's asking for information when she bets 22,000. I think she's making a statement that she has the best hand. And that will give Brian Lyttle a pause to ponder, because he's thinking, you know, what could she have limped in with? Could she have limped in with ace-king or ace-queen? In a player like Brian Lyttle, this type of hand doesn't hold as much value.
We raise all in.
But it does in this situation. He's going to make a stand.
This is the first stand of the game, and it is serious.
It sure is. Because the only thing Pippa can put him on that she could call now is a flush draw.
What amazing courage Brian Lyttle is showing right now, Kenna.
It really is.
I mean, it's obviously he's got the best hand, but try sitting in his shoes and doing that with everything on the line.
With everything on the line, that's exactly right.
How much have I got?
And Pippa wants a countdown.
She wants to see how much it's going to cost her to call.
The answer is about 60,000, and you know, she's probably only got about 30,000 or so more than Brian Lyttle. Kenna, this would be very unwise for her. I mean, she can't legitimately put him on anything she can beat, can she?
Well, a flush draw, for sure.
And it's 66 to call. I'll call. Call.
She's called! She's called! And this is huge for Brian Lyttle! He doesn't know he's got the best hand. He'll have no idea till it's turned over.
Okay, cards, please.
Now, when somebody calls and you have ace-jack, believe me, you think you're beat. He's going to be relieved to find out that he's going to be a heavy favorite going into the Turner River. But still 2 cards to come. Can Pippa Flanders pull a 9 out of the deck and knock out Brian Lyttle? Tough to knock out the Irish as we go to the turn.
Holy Toledo. There's the jack.
This hand will be over, and Pippa Flanders will be crippled.
Pippa's saying now she shouldn't have gone in with ace-9. You make one little boo-boo, and it turns completely backwards, and Brian Lyttle, 184,000 to the good now, is the first big stack of this heat.
Brian Lyttle hits a giant hand and moves in to take over the lead. In the process, Pippa Flanders takes an almighty fall from grace as she goes from top to bottom of the pile in one fell swoop. But you can't keep a good girl down for long.
What could Pippa have done different there?
Well, I like Pippa's limp before the flop because she's out of position. When she's faced with the re-raise, it's easy to get away from the hand because you haven't, really invested anything into it. And then the key after that, even after she's called, she's faced with another decision, as you said. If that bet she had put out there was for information, then she's saying, hey, I've got an ace, do you have a better one? And once Brian Lyttle responds, her action should be, of course, to fold. But her bet, like I said, wasn't for information. Her bet was saying, I have the best hand, and that's why she got stubborn and hooked onto that pot.
I mean, if she had intended to not believe Brian Little's re-raise, maybe calling on the flop would have been a different option?
Right, exactly right. So the game finds its ways to test you. Unfortunately for Pippa, maybe her only 4 years of experience or lack of knowledge of Brian Lyttle hurt her in this situation.
Well, she's got 33,000. How serious situation is it for her now?
Well, she's definitely going to be challenged, but as we know, we've seen on this show many times, even last week with Tony G coming back from 31,000 to being the chip leader by the end of the day. So it definitely can happen.
Time for Pippa to dig down deep. Can she do it?
Welcome back to the second semi-final here at the partypoker.net World Open. The last 3 players left round the table tonight will take their chips through with them to the final. So whilst you want to make the final table in the first place, you also want to get there with a big stack of chips. Let's head back to the table.
Blinds up now to 2 and 4,000. And this second level will begin with Brian Lyttle holding the chip lead, Kenna James, and it's a serious one.
Certainly is. That's going to make him definitely more comfortable. Already a solid player. I don't expect him to give up any ground easy. Pippa Flanders now, after that turn of unfortunate events for her, will have to recoup.
Tate from the button with the king-queen suited says increase the action, and it's a total of 14,000. It'll be 10,000 on Liam Flood if he wants to see the flop. Liam will feel like, I would imagine, Kenna, that everything is going right for him so far.
Exactly right, Jesse May. And when things are going right, don't get over involved. Unfortunately for him, the raise comes from, back position. He has an ace in the blind. He may try to put some heat on Conor Tate here.
Ace-3 right now beating king-queen suited, but I kind of feel like you'd rather have the king-queen.
Yeah, and especially when you have position. So Liam is out of position. He makes the correct fold. He passes the test.
I think that might be the first pot for Conor Tate. It's been a bit thin for him so far.
He picked up one other blind.
I had that I won this on the last beat.
Lyttle says, what did you have? And Conor said, if you saw my heat, you might remember. It's kind of like code.
Pass.
4,000 to play. Lawrence Bonet has not been very active, Kenna.
Pass.
He has a perfect record, I believe, though. 2 out of 2. That's an effective strategy when you only play the hand you win. Very tough to beat. Liam Flood, queen 4. In this small blind will.
Check.
Yeah, and Pippa's got a free flop here, which will probably be a sort of comforting thought for her.
Not comfort as she's dominated once again.
She gets out of it.
Brian Lyttle.
Yeah. Pippa's got bottom pair, and they've got the same straight draw. Although, if a jack comes, Lyttle will make a higher straight.
She was dominated before the flop, but now she has the pair and the open-end straight draw to Brian Lyttle's open-end straight draw and an overcard. I imagine Brian will...
Well, the bet's only 4,000 here, Kenna. How should Brian be thinking about playing this hand? Take the free draw, or the cheap draw as it is?
Well, it's a cheap draw, not free, yeah. Or you could raise and then, if you don't get there on the turn, check it and take a free river card. But he elects to just make the cheap call. 3 of hearts doesn't improve his hand.
Check.
Pippa perhaps a bit worried about her pair of 7s. It is good right now. And this bet from Brian Lyttle could be a factor of his chips.
Excellent point, Jesse May. He is betting not only on a semi-bluff, but because he has the big stack, putting the pressure on the small stack, and that's going to be enough to win him the pot.
That was a great way for Brian Lyttle to win the pot with the worst hand. And he could just steam from here. In his heat, we saw him be very aggressive. Look at those hands shaking. He's happy to have that stack.
Pass. Pass. Pass.
Conor Tate, most of his hands so far this heat have come from the button. And the only danger there is he's raising into the teeth of Liam Flood.
Raise to 12,000.
Well, but Liam, as aggressive as he's been, has not shown a propensity to make moves or out of position. So
this could test him.
It certainly can. Now,
it's a lot better than the ace-3 he laid down last round. We've got a flop here, 26,000 in there.
but you notice he did not re-raise. He showed some respect for Conor Tate, but now with this flop, pair of aces and the nut flush draw.
That's a massive flop for Flood. It's a massive flop.
And all of a sudden, it looks like Conor Tate is the one that's being tested. There's a couple players on this table, not just one.
Is the fast play by Flood deceiving?
Actually, it is. Usually, players that act quickly without much thought are bluffing. So I wonder if Conor Tate will consider that and consider calling with second pair here. He's right in the middle of the road, and that's what I mean when the game is testing you, when you have tough decisions all the time at every spot in the road, it seems like.
You know, I was just thinking Liam's made a bet that's a size that it's very hard for Conor Tate to do anything but all or nothing. 20,000, and Tate's only got about 70 in front of him. Pretty much he can raise it 50 or he can get out of there. And how does the king of clubs affect his hand? He's got kind of a backdoor flush draw.
Good point.
Well, if he pushes all in, he is not going to lose Flood.
Well, I think Conor Tate would maybe move in here if he thought this was slipping away from him, this tournament. But he's still got over 70,000 in chips, and he knows he can come back from that, even though it's tough to lay it down. Good decision, Conor Tate.
Yeah, Tate has laid 2 hands down against Flood, and he's 1-1 now as far as right versus wrong. But Liam in very, very good stroke.
Conor Tate, a good look at him there, shows a little scruff there. Looks like he may have had a little bit of lack of sleep last night as well. Little nerves, not much sleep. And a lot of pressure on these players playing for the final 3 seats at the final table.
It is a lot of pressure. I mean, they all, of course, guaranteed $7,000 in prize money, but those big payouts on the top really get your juices oiled.
Absolutely.
Pass.
It's been a raise here to 10,000 from Atkin, and this is something that will make Conor Tate happier than a bumblebee.
Well, he's rewarded for that good laydown last time.
You're a man who really believes in justice, aren't you, Kenna?
I just believe you make good decisions, both in poker and life, and you're rewarded down the line. That's what it's about. I mean, this game is about making correct and good decisions, and in the long run, you'll come out on top. And that's how I believe it's synonymous with life. And here, at least it's proving true in this small sampling. Makes the raise with pocket kings, 2 cowboys.
I was wondering about the range of Conor Tate's decision that he was about to make, and it seems like he was deciding how much to re-raise. He settled on 18,000, which is not a huge re-raise, but sturdy enough.
It should be enough to shut out Liam Flood, who's now tempted by the ace-9 of diamonds. And this is the type of hand you want to shut out, because if an ace comes, those 2 kings become toilet paper.
We could finish this.
So he's trying to flush the toilet paper out with a nice size raise here and put Liam Flood to the test.
Liam turned to Brian Lyttle and says, if I get lucky here, we could finish this off right now.
Very interesting.
But for 28,000, Kenna, it would be completely unwarranted for Liam to call.
He just asked you, he looked up to the sky, Jesse, and said, what do you think?
I think if he wants to end it quick, calling would be the best option. But if he wants to go to the final table, it's probably in the bottom range.
What do you think he's going to do?
I think he passed about 7 minutes ago. I can't imagine he would make a play here. I mean, that's me. I don't know. You know, it's a raise and a re-raise
Right.
he's facing, Kenna.
Yeah, okay, but consider these options, too, that are going through his mind from his perspective. Conor Tate's lost, a couple hands. He knows he's a little frustrated. He knows that Kevin Atkin has also been struggling of late. And so...
It's a play and a replay, he's thinking, by two frustrated guys.
Well, when you're as creative as Liam Flood, these kind of thoughts enter your mind, but he gets away from them. The ghost shakes him off.
18,000 more.
And now Kevin Atkin on the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, he's the guy who I really think is in the sticker here. And how important is this 18,000 decision for him?
Well, in his journey to get here, he continually laid down in situations like this to give himself an opportunity to win. Can he do it here?
Kevin Atkin was having a hard look at his chips. Now he's having a hard look at Conor Tate. And I imagine he's going to bounce between the two a little bit. Just trying to get a read off Conor. It's slightly easier to learn Portuguese.
Remember, decisions are made based on information and past events. I mean, Atkin has been these players, it's like he's got a sign on him that says, kick me.
Yeah, it's true.
Time and time again, this is like the fourth time people have come over the top of him. And, it just gets hard. It's hard on your ego. It's hard on your discipline and your patience to continually lay down when somebody keeps beating you with a club.
Nice spot for Conor Tate by Kev Atkins, showing he has the maturity of 1,000 years there. Not letting it ruffle him too much, although his brain must be steaming.
Oh, his feathers are ruffled. And if he was a bird, he would be molting.
And Atkin has to pay the double penalty now. He's in the big blind here. It's like, how much you want? Take more. Cut me. I bleed.
Pass.
4,000 on Conor Tate.
Pass.
Little's becoming a rather quiet chip leader. But you like that, Kenna.
Raise.
Now, you see, I like this.
12,000 total.
Now, people will say 6-3, yeah. But he laid down the hand where there was a lot of conflict and, adversity. And here he's playing position. Much better spot, even though...
This is great stuff by Pippa Flanders. This is the first strong move she has made, and her instincts are 100% correct, Kenna.
Absolutely. She's betting position. She knows Liam, his pattern, he's raised every single time on the button. You can't have a hand every time. And a great spot for her, actually, to get her chips in here.
Flood's making a hard swallow. It's maybe the kind of swallow you make when you know you're priced in to call but are embarrassed to turn the cards over.
True. But even though she has him dominated, if he should call, I would stick Eeyore out there just for extra,
He's saying to himself, I should have thought about this before I raised. Do you ever get embarrassed when you're playing?
Yeah, of course. You don't want everybody to know that you're out there with nothing. It's like you're naked out there when you turn a hand like this out there. They say, all right, take off your clothes. I don't have anything.
He's putting Pippa through the ringer.
Well, it's a tough because he probably thinks he has two unmatched cards and actually has the value to call. But I think you're right, Jesse. I think giving up too much information by exposing your hand here is worth the fold.
You caught me with my trousers down, you know that?
I told you his clothes were off.
You did say that.
Oh. Okay.
Call, says Liam Flood.
I'm nothing.
The price of
Absolutely
victory
nothing.
worth
That's my
the
biggest
embarrassment of
card.
action, and now he's dominated. It's even worse. Than
And
you
did you
think.
see his face when Pippa turned over the 6 first? It froze him like he just got hit in the abdomen.
Well, Pippa Flanders in a good spot, but 6-3 can beat Ace-6 before the monkeys come home. It's happened before. And that pretty good flop for Pippa.
Very good flop.
Yeah.
Anything that doesn't involve a 3 is going to look good from here.
There's the 6, and that is going to do it.
6 or 9 or a 5.
I think it's a 6 or 5 are Flood's outs to split.
No.
But not going to happen.
And Pippa in a well-needed double up. Great situation. She was patient in her recovery, and that is going to give her a shot to recover.
Well, it's going to kind of tighten the whole table up. There's several players at this table, Kenna, besides Liam Flood, who wouldn't have minded seeing Liam win that hand, I'd imagine.
The gentleman Liam Flood caught with his hand in the cookie jar, and Pippa doubles through on her all-in and lives to fight another hand. Still bottom of the pile though, but this game is far from over.
Still in our second level here. 4,000 to go. More if you so desire. Borderline.
Up to me? No. Oh,
Ryan Lyttle, another one of those medium decisions, and perhaps reflections of the past and how he beat a hand with, Pippa Flanders when she held the Ace-9 might give him.
Cool.
Yeah,
and she played it the same way.
You're so right, Kenna. She limped in under the gun with it, and that's exactly what he's done.
Guess he didn't learn anything from that situation, or perhaps he'll play it differently after the flop.
It's certainly not encouraging me to do the same, but yeah, as you say.
Anyways.
Conor Tate getting a free flop with a hand he was unlikely to call raise within the big blind, Kenna.
Not only that, his assessment of Lyttle here, his indecision before the flop should indicate that Conor Tate might be able to take this one away with a lead-in bet.
Yeah, I mean, unless Brian Little's going for an Academy Award, he hasn't exactly displayed to the rest of the table the pocket aces. Flush draw for both players. Little's is higher with the 9.
If you're going to bluff, you want to bluff early, not late, as the board develops and then draws your opponents into the hand. And so now I think Conor Tate would be better off
6,000
with a check, but now elects to bluff. You see, with a lead-in bet on the flop, he most likely would have won, but now he may get a challenge from Brian Lyttle.
Yeah, and if Lyttle just calls here, I mean, it's going to be hard for Conor to know where he's at. Is it a draw?
And does he follow it up with another bet on the river? A lot of questions on hand. That is one of the reasons why the head is in hand. Brian Lyttle, the two Irishmen here, head to head.
I'll tell you what, Brian Lyttle is made some good decisions as far as he's leading the hand, but what a hash of a hand this is.
Wow, he leaves his he wears his emotions on his sleeve, doesn't he? Not Brian Lyttle. And when you see that as a player across from him, you don't know if it's genuine or, I mean, it's so prevalent. You wonder if he's, setting you up.
You talk about the second bullet. Now, Tate has to bet to win this pot, and he's not going for a half a hand either. Look at this. 18,000.
Right.
I mean, that's digging deep.
Well, it's digging deep, and it's against the chip leader. Wow, who's got the chips to call if he should get stubborn here. And I think stubbornness, one quality that might, be, can I say, exhibited in Irish?
Yo, absolutely.
I mean, I am
Little's
Irish.
actually,
I'm
Little's
Irish,
actually
so I can say it.
considering calling here, Ken, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's all... Oh, how about that? How about that?
Tate had to dig deep to find that bet on the river. I'd be interested to know if he actually thought Lyttle had anything, or if Conor just said, well, I want that money.
He did.
It's like a force of wills.
It really was.
Looking at the leaderboard, Lyttle still on top. No worries for him there. And between Flood, Bonet, and Tate, they're all hanging around even.
So as the blinds go up, so the pressure mounts on these players, as there are still 6 remaining with only room for 3. Some moves could be on their way here in an attempt for the short stacks to stay alive.
It is Lawrence Bonet's big blind.
You superstitious, Jesse?
Well, only about my lucky underwear.
Oh boy. This conversation has gone south. I know the public wants to know. Just tell them, is it boxers or briefs?
Pass.
I've got a horseshoe up my ass.
All right, that's enough. I've drawn the line. Let's see if Liam Flood draws the line. He's got 5 deuce.
Pass.
No, but Pippa Flanders might. She has ace-7 on the button.
Pass. Call.
Limp in here from Kevin Atkin into Lawrence Bonet's big blind. Check.
I used to have one, but it fell out. That's why I'm sitting here commentating now instead of fighting for one of these finals. Texas Johnny Houston knocked me out, and he's already there.
I tell you, everybody's given Kevin Atkin trouble tonight, but Lawrence Bonet seems to have given him a particular type of trouble.
Sure is. He has it out for Kev Atkin. It's like he has been the Mission Impossible guy.
Right.
That gives the assignment and says, okay, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take out Kev Atkin. Here, he even outflops him. Kev Atkin starting with the best hand, it doesn't matter. Larry Bonet has gotten almost all of his chips from this
12,000.
local gentleman from England here, Kev Atkin.
Yeah, and if Kev Atkin wants to get creative, he might be thinking this is the time.
Raise.
Excellent call, Jesse May says, I had enough. This is the fighter that we said in the heat that's underneath it. And interesting decision now on Larry Bonet, because he's saying, well, if my opponent had a king, wouldn't he have raised before the flop?
It's an uncallable decision, isn't it? I mean, Kev Atkin did not make a small raise. He went all in. It's 34,000 more. What can he beat?
Well, once you get past that thought, the thoughts go, well, wouldn't he have raised with the king coming in? And even if he wouldn't, why would he be putting so much heat on me now? So if you get into logical thoughts like this, you could very easily work out that it's very likely that you have the best hand with kings and fours. And if Larry Bonet can latch on to that logic,
Just give me a second.
which that's what he says, give me one more second, he may make this call.
These two have played several pots together head up. Bonet's won every one of them till now.
Well, the package has been delivered. Can Bonet execute? The mission not impossible, but very difficult.
I was saying a problem for Bonet is even if he does make this call, which would be a great call, Atkin's got 6 outs.
That's right, he does. Although if he's called, he's not going to feel like he does.
Be the biggest call of his life.
This might just be a bit too much for Bonet to risk. He's sitting at on 100,000 at the start of this hand.
Pass.
And ends up saying the value is just not there, and he gives it up. Nice play by Kevin Atkin.
Real nice play, Kenna. That is Kev Atkin making something out of nothing and saying, I'm not willing to go away silently. Sheer force of will, Kenna James. These short stacks not willing to just give up.
Excellent point Jesse made. This is a clash of wills. Everybody's desire is to make it to that final table, but only 3 can go through. It's tough. It's really tough going out there.
And it's not like there's nothing to play for in the bottom 3 spots. I mean, next player out gets 7,000, then 10,000, then 15,000. So, but it seems like the players are ignoring that value for that final table berth.
Exactly right. You know, 8,000, a lot of money to a lot of people, and certainly don't want to diminish that. But when you're staring at 200,000 for a first prize, and there's only like 5 or 6 people between you and that money, it becomes very tasty.
What is the key right now?
Well, the key is just to play your cards and your situations to the best of your ability. Kevin Atkin, even with that risky play, and it was a good play, it ended up working out for him, must regroup and not get shaken. Who's going to crack is really the story.
Don't waste chips. Look for the broken eggs. Let's see what happens.
Welcome back to the Party Poker World Open 2. Brian Lyttle out in front, but the battle is intense with 6 players still hunting for 3 seats on the final table.
How about the 2 jacks?
This is what happened to Liam Flood in his heat, Kenna. He gave a lot of action, and then when he picked up a hand,
right.
you know, people thought that he might be bluffing. And he's got the 2 jacks here.
Raise to
And he'd
18,000.
love to get some action on them.
Re-raise. All
Wow,
in.
he is going to get action from Pippa Flanders now.
Yeah.
Pocket
Taking you out of
10s.
trouble.
Well, this is nearly a cold deck from Pippa. She can't imagine that Liam has got her sauced up.
Not only sauced, but shackled.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going all in.
Liam now wanting to exact revenge for those other
Have you anything
times
this time?
that she had come over the
Actually.
Oh, have I? Okay.
I have it.
top of him.
Oh, look at that.
And Kenna, the odds say that we have reached our first knockout victim. Unless Pippa Flanders catches a 10, she'll be done for.
Well, Pippa's going to need the luck of Eeyore here
You know, if
to
you
combat
win
the
this,
luck of the Irish.
it'll be all my chips you won. Only mine. And I won't
This
hold
is a
it against
huge
you.
pot for Liam. He'll be well in the chip lead should he take this down.
Look at this.
It is
Oh my.
Look at
Ace 10-4.
Flanders has hit it.
it. No, I think I'm in a little bit of trouble. Just
He
a
is.
small bit.
There's only 2 jacks in the deck now. Shoe is on the other foot, and the gentleman can hardly believe it.
An ace.
What would an ace do? What would an ace do?
An ace would give Liam
Ace
Flood
would
aces
I think.
full of jacks, which would win. So that gives him 2 additional outs. 10% chance of rain.
Hold on.
It's a 5.
Unlucky for Flood.
Probably got chips back.
I hope so.
Huge pot for Pippa Flanders. And Kenna, did that hand just play itself because of what had happened previously?
Well, you know, those hands play themselves because in a 6-handed game,
So I'd
jacks and
give you
10s are
125.
really huge holdings. Interesting, Liam Flood was in second place at the
Okay.
start of this hand. He goes to last. Pippa was last, and she's vaulted to second.
63.
And that's what we've seen.
Did you?
Now Pippa Flanders standing in second place. She was at 25. She's vaulted to 135. And we were saying, Jesse, at the break, how Tony G went from the cellar and to the chip lead by the end of the day. And now Pippa Flanders looking to make that same journey.
Yeah, but she had me beside her.
Amazing stuff. And Liam Flood, you would have banked your bottom dollar that he was on his way to the final. Now has to dig deep on his own shovel.
So am I, but for different reasons.
Thank you.
And, you know, there's one thing about this game, Kenna. No matter what you do, you cannot take the cards out completely. And sometimes they just have funny things in store.
They do. That's why I say this game is alive.
Pass. Pass.
It is like a
monster.
Monster that you got to tackle along with your opponents, along with the monster that's inside of you.
Conor Tate looks like he's seen a few flops. Brian Lyttle. You know, there's a famous American poker player named Mickey Appleman, and if you look at his face, you can see what 50 years of gambling will do to you.
I've seen myself go down the road. I've been playing this game about 10 years. I feel like I've aged 20 in the process. And this is why you're always faced with tough decisions. You're under the gun, and here it is. Brian Lyttle going to put pressure on the short stack with ace-4 of clubs.
Yeah, a long thought for Lyttle, and he's raised 15,000.
I think Brian Little's committed to this pot.
Oh, boy.
And that's good news for Liam Flood, who wants his ticket and the keys out of jail.
I mean, that's what Lyttle must have been thinking about, Kenna. He must have been thinking, what will I do if Liam Flood re-raises? Now it's happened.
I don't think so.
Hasn't he already made up his mind if he's calling or folding?
Well, you would think so, but I think his pause was that he knew he was grabbing a lion by the tail.
Yeah.
But his hand dictated to grab the tail, and
it's 28,000 more
If you double
to win 76.
That's what you think I want.
I think Liam would have been better served remaining quiet in this spot instead of breaking. But I'm wrong. He has solicited the call from Brian Lyttle. And unless he gets extremely unlucky for the second time in a row, he will double up and move out of the basement.
Yeah, you could not begrudge Liam Flood this flop. But the deck has weird ways of talking, and it is Flood all in, and Lyttle needing a 4 to knock him out.
Straighten his shirt. Oh, shame. Amanda wouldn't do it to me, though, would she? Oops.
Queen, 10 on the flop.
You know what?
You know, there's a lot of cards now that would make a split. In addition to the 10, a king or jack would suddenly nullify Liam Flood's 9.
Well, also an ace. Other ace.
Yeah, well said.
7. Liam needs one card below a 10 that is not a 4.
Or a spade. He's got the flush draw as well.
Good point. Good pickup there.
This flop has been saucy from start to finish. Here's the river.
Take a king. Diamonds.
A 7. Wow.
Jesus.
And Liam, not knocked out, but certainly
Well, it doesn't look that way. He's sharing probably a tense laugh.
Sometimes you think you're playing the game, and then, Kenna, the game's on you. Poker has a funny way of sorting things out on its own.
Well, it certainly does, and the sorting not so easy. I'm sit back, I'm relaxed, I'm enjoying the action. A lot more than Liam Flood right now, and these guys. We're well into the third round, and we have lost nobody. The tension is very high out there.
Is Pippa Flanders on her way to doing a Tony G?
It looks like it. I just hope that Pippa has learned from some of the adversity that she's experienced at this table, and now given a second chance at life, so to speak, uses her chips well and protects them. She did before, you know, like a mother hen, she protected those chips once she got them. I expect her to be there.
We've seen Liam quite a bit in this tournament, but never on a short stack, Kenna James. What's he going to do?
Oh, he's a fighter and a scrapper. He's going to get out there and start to gamble at every opportunity and get out of the basement. Liam is not a type of player who likes to sit down there in the damp, dark, recesses of the basement. I expect him to try and fight his way out. The question will be will he be lucky enough to do it?
Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator in there. Who's going to the chocolate factory? Action at the OK Corral.
Yeehaw!
And with 6 left, not what you'd expect, Kenna. You'd expect there to be about 4 and a war going on, but it is full house here. What does that show? Everyone's just determined?
I'm not sure.
Sometimes it just happens that way.
Sometimes it just happens that way.
Kev Atkin, who has 70,000, folding the pocket fours up front. Perhaps he does not want to play half a hand.
Well, Kev Atkin realizes the next hand he
Raised
plays
14,000
may be his
total.
last, so he's gonna, choose a premium one.
Pass.
And it probably served him well here. As now, Liam, as I said, looking to get it in a scrap,
All in.
brings not only a baseball bat, some chains, and a gun when he picks up a hand of this magnitude. So, but ace king. Wow.
This is a great spot for Flood. And not only did he find ace
20,
king, but
30,
someone had already put money in the pot.
Much.
And
38.
Conor Tate needs a count. What, 38,000 to win 72, Kenna?
Well, that's the thing with these suited connectors. They're never that far behind. And that is why Conor Tate will ponder the possibility of making this call. The only hand he's a huge dog to is the overpair.
How do you balance that against the fact that if he folds, he has sort of a middling stack. If he calls, it's very short. He'll have about 70,000 if he folds.
Well, he's got to make a stand sooner or later. He's got 87,000, you're right. It is a key decision for Conor Tate.
Pass.
And,
Thank you.
that's about 20,000 that Liam Flood will add to his holdings.
And just like that, he's one step up out of the basement. In goes Kevin Atkin. 70,000 for Atkin, 72,000 for Flood.
I'll tell you what, Kenna, this is getting very hot. The bottom
Pippa.
stacks are very tight right now. End of the third level, and who would have thought? All hands on deck. Liam Flood's won 11 pots, but to no avail. It's Brian Lyttle who has cruised to the chip lead. Everyone else sorted out. Hard to say.
Kevin Atkin now, ace-7. Will he move all in?
Raise.
Now see, Kevin
10
Atkin
more,
is
22.
middle of the road. Let's see how this strategy works for him.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what the others didn't do with what's pretty much a similar holding.
Right.
Something mediocre.
Exactly.
And what will he do if he gets...
Moved in, he will have to call, I would think. But
Very respectfully. Pass.
Pass.
It is only 10,000 to Pippa Flanders, but
doesn't look like he's going to get any action here. He'll pick up the blind, so
funny, a lot of times you can play a hand a certain way and not get any positive or negative reinforcement either way. Oh, wow, what is this?
wow.
Just 10 more for
Well, this is similar to the very first hand that Pippa played when they raised her big blind. She called with the 9-6 and a nothing flop she let out in her journey here. Let's see if that is her play this time.
She has flopped the best hand.
Yep, and she is going to, I think, move her
Add that,
chips in
please.
and
Go all in.
put
All in.
Kevin Atkin to the test, who is going to be sick when he sees this.
Well, he is. He is, and you can only think, kind of, based on what happened the last couple hands, that this is unnecessary.
Well, yeah, now see, his strategy did not work, as if he would have moved all his chips in like Pippa did the previous hand. He would have won this hand with no confrontation, and now he's faced with a difficult decision. Oh, the situations are so dynamic in poker, it's hard to know which one to make. And that's why it's tough to make, the right decision every time.
Yeah, it's a very good point. The flop could easily have come ace-9-4, and then Kev Atkin would be thinking about doubling up.
Well, if it came an ace, perhaps Pippa would not have moved in. Now, I think by this time, Kev has realized he's behind. He's trying to work out the pot odds to see if he's even getting the correct price to try and catch an ace, or if he's gonna, or if he has enough chips to make a comeback with what he has.
I believe he's got 50,000 back.
Oh, that's enough. He should fold and get out of the way, and of course he's got to take the big blind next hand. Which is 10,000. That should factor in.
It's no fun, is it? These decisions.
Oh no, this is like he's like sitting in a dentist chair right now. You can see grabbing his gums, gnawing at maybe his thumbs. Similar to that long needle.
Well, he's managed to swallow, and that was really the only thing he could do if he wanted to keep on going. But I don't believe he'll be leaving any chips behind the next pot he plays, Kenna.
Nope, that factor will be removed. And now the pressure of the big blind with Atkin putting in 10,000. I think there's Pippa Flanders. You can see she's the new chip leader. From the cellar to the attic, $163,000 she's sitting at.
Fantastic. And Pippa Flanders has taken over the chip lead, and that also speaks a little bit to the play of Brian Lyttle, which has been very conservative these last few levels.
It also speaks to the game living. Like I said, it seems like it gives somebody a pass. And I said early on, it may be Pippa. She overcame that big deficit where she got her chips in with Liam Flood.
Yeah, well said. Geez, if I hadn't lost that hand early, she'd have about 400,000 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, more.
Well, that's right. She lost
Oh,
it.
pass.
That's
Pass.
fun.
What do they call this? A bottom skimmer?
Oh,
Something?
how about this?
Pass two.
What do they call it? When
Ground scare.
Atkin,
You say, Kenna, the deck
Okay.
rewards you
Ground
sometimes for making a good fold.
whatever. That's what it is.
Kev Atkin got a gift of his big blind back to him, which just gives him a free pass, basically, on the round.
When I had my ace.
But, you know what? He deserves another chance.
Well, hardly ever.
No.
Certainly. has-
Why?
Yeah, he's played his heart out, hasn't he?
You're right. I just wondered.
These guys all deserve to be at the final table.
They certainly do, but only 3 can go.
Let's kick out Tony G. Liam Flood in the cutoff spot. There's 15,000 out there to grab. And
Pass.
seems like
Pass.
this play has gotten very cagey. Atkin saying all in. Come over the top of that, Bonet.
Well, and I think he likes the fact that it's against Larry Bonet because he's been punishing him this whole tournament, and he likes probably
Pass.
putting Larry, giving him a taste of his own medicine.
He sure does. Atkin.
All happening in Leyden Orient.
Does seem to have an uncanny knack of survival. Just feel like
Anybody know
Darwin
what
would
it's called?
approve.
Orient? It's called
No,
Leyden Orient.
Darwin.
right not.
oh, Kev Atkin, man.
Brian Lyttle, he's got king 3 of clubs. He's under the gun. That means
Pass.
first to act. It's the weakest position at the table. The position moves around by that
Pass.
puck you see in front of Pippa Flanders,
Oh, wow.
who now holds 2 jacks in the strongest position. The button or dealer position, as it is known.
I think she's in the cutoff
I'll
act.
go
She's
all
next
in.
to the
See,
button.
so
She's
she's
moved
counting
straight
all
all
in.
in. She says, I cannot figure out what to raise. And that's kind of an over raise. Is Is she looking for action against someone who thinks she might be a little weaker than she is? Or
I don't think so. I think she's just looking to protect her hand, pick up the 15,000 that's out there, and not risk. So.
Kenna, I was going to ask, do you think these players are beginning to be guilty of all waiting for big hands? But I guess when there's a big hand out there, you don't want to be guilty of not being patient enough. How do you figure it out? How do you walk through that jungle on a short stack?
This is my turn now.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. A lot of people get around
Luck has more to do with what everybody else is getting besides you.
Oh, I always consider that.
Oh, just me and you. And you know, like.
Pippa Flanders extending her chip lead. Is there destiny involved here? Flood.
I don't think what?
He bought a free round for himself. Does he want to do it again?
Pass.
Pass. Pass. Pass. Pass.
This has become a pass festival. Bonet, tightest player at the table tonight.
So tight. Reminds me of probably similar to a camel's nostrils in the desert.
He squeaks. And Conor Tate,
So tight.
that 15,000 is so important. I was thinking he might feel like it's a mandatory move, but he's got no cards.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, wow. Lyttle might have called there. Second pair for Conor, but an up and down straight draw for Brian Lyttle. And if he knew, well, I mean, if Lyttle knew the 10 and Jack were good as well, he'd definitely be calling.
Absolutely. I think he may call anyway.
Sure.
What's your age?
42,000.
42,000.
Well, Conor Tate has been put to the test. This game definitely testing him tonight. And now moving in with second pair. Very strong move here, protecting against the draws. And what's going to happen here is Brian Little's going to look at the price of drawing to his hand.
Basically, Lyttle can call here and lose, and still would only be third in chips. He can afford it in a sense, Kenna.
Call.
He does make the call. He's going to take the gamble to knock out Conor Tate right here, right now.
This is 50-50.
This is so close. This is as close as the big toe is to, what do they call that toe next to it?
The second toe.
The second toe as we go to the third.
This is it, a straight crapshoot here, 50-50. And that has made Conor Tate's hand slightly better because now there's only one card to come. 7, 10, Jack, or Queen will knock him out.
Otherwise, he will double up.
It's a queen! It's a straight! Conor Tate is out. Who would have thought it, Kenna James?
Well, like I said, Jess, sometimes the game just doesn't let one person out. And it was tonight Conor Tate's turn to be locked up.
And this is the chip leader again, Brian Lyttle. Over the 200 crack.
Brian with a little.
Seat open, leaving 5 at this table. And the way these chip stacks go, Brian Lyttle and Pippa Flanders are in the clear, where Lawrence Bonet, Kev Atkin, and Liam Flood are in the muck. Is it 3 players playing for just that one spot now? I feel like Liam Flood has made his own luck here. I mean,
All in.
Well, maybe his own luck or maybe his own demise.
Yeah, this is a big
here.
one.
He's King 7, and certainly now.
My own age.
How about
Pass.
2 5s folded by Pippa?
If anybody picks up something big, they could bust him. That's not big.
But it's reasonable. I mean,
Bonet hoping for something bigger.
Leave him up
Yeah.
the full telly.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Liam's been out there on a shoestring several times, Kenna, since he lost the big pot against Pippa
that's what I had.
Flanders.
Oh.
But if you look at what he's done to his stack, he's basically doubled it up without having to survive 5 cards on the flop, and that's kind of impressive.
It is, but I tell you, he is towing a thin line.
I think he's cruising for a bruising.
Absolutely. You stick your chips out there in the middle too often with no holding like he did there, you are surely sooner or later to run into a hand, and you will be out if it's a hand held by Pippa or Brian, because they have him covered.
Pippa's
raise,
got
please.
good cards
Raise.
here. Ace 10 worth how much? And it looks like half a stack.
45,000 more.
That's a big raise.
55,000 total.
That's pretty much sending out a
Pass.
message to all the short stacks at the table.
Right. And that's what it looks like, what is happening right now, as we have separation from the top 3 to the bottom 2. It looks like a feast of Crispian's Day.
I'll tell you, King 9 suited looks pretty good on this table, but that 45,000 raise is sturdy.
Sure is. And Brian Lyttle should realize that the Crispians are Lawrence Bonet and Kevin Atkin, and probably stay away from Flanders.
Don't really know what a Crispian is. It sounds like a fried potato.
I don't know either, but I heard it once in a Shakespeare play.
Shouldn't even look at these.
And it sounds good.
No,
Oh, Pippa,
it's kind of
won't believe
ironic,
it.
Kenna, that
I'm gonna pass.
Atkin and Bonet have been fighting each other tooth and nail this entire heat, and to me it's starting to look like it's either him or me as far as those two are concerned.
It certainly is. And that's just for the bubble spot. Remember, only 3 can go forward.
Yeah.
So, and both
Oh, right.
and both those men on the short end of the stick,
He believes you.
so to speak, they've
both of
drawn
them.
the short straw. It could be both of
I
them.
believe everything you said.
I know you do, yeah.
Have Atkin
Pass.
is out.
Maybe they should start working together.
Larry, yeah, needing a hand like a. I've said it before, but I'll say it again, like a
Pass.
dead man needs a coffin. Cannot find one. Wow.
Flood with an opportunity from the small blind to pick on Pippa, and he will.
Raise.
Now look at this. Dangerous spot here for Pippa, because she knows and is targeting Liam probably because she's got position on him, and he plays so many darn hands.
40 more.
When he picks up a big hand, it becomes very dangerous. Oh!
Well, this
All
is
in.
just
All
a
in
crash.
and a call.
All in
And
and
call.
call. And this is the second time these two have tangled for the massive pot. This time it's a
Right.
race.
That's gonna have the
Wow.
cards, please.
Cards.
Yeah.
My jacks, yes. Can I draw? I ask myself.
Liam is going to need an ace or a king, like I said.
He's all in. Flood needs big ones.
It is 9-9-4. Safe flop for Pippa. Liam will need an ace or a king, or he will be out of here.
He's only got one card to do it. And Flood not feeling like it's his day, but the river could drag him dry.
Nope, it's a 7. The jacks
Good luck
hold.
and fun. Okay.
The
Nice, thank you.
gentleman, he's taken a lot of money out of this tournament,
Lawrence.
but his reign has come
And
to
you
an
too?
end this year. Runner-up last year,
Okay.
out in fifth at this
Oh,
semi.
yeah. Then we'll
And Pippa Flanders, she was down to 25,000. Now she's got half. She'd be the chip leader if they stop now at the final table.
7:15 now.
The gentleman Liam Flood, runner-up in last year's tournament, but not going to be on the final table this time round. Let's hear from him.
Big surprise because of the big hands in the blinds, and Liam Flood out in fifth. Commiserations, Liam, but you couldn't win with the jacks, and then you couldn't win against them.
Yep. That's the game of poker. that's where the luck element comes in.
In between the time you were doing a lot of your own grafting, you got short stacked, and I mean, basically you managed to double up, I thought, without ever having to turn your cards over.
Yeah, that's true. I got it up to, I had 96,000 in the last hand, so I was in good shape. But I didn't like it when Philippa, anybody else at the table had a chance, but Philippa had the message.
Well, did you feel that you may have underestimated Eeyore and the power of the donkey? I mean, it's the real question.
Yes, probably. I asked her, would the donkey not talk to me? And she says, no, only to her.
Well, I mean, I didn't think you had it in for her, but it seemed like she had targeted you as someone who was good to make plays on.
Possibly. But any time we were involved, she showed the goods.
Oh, she had the hands.
Yeah. But I think I was unlucky with the ace-9 to split it with Brian.
Yes.
that was a big turning point because I had him by the curlies.
You're a tough competitor, my friend, and it's great to see you again after all these years.
Thank you very much.
Really play a very aggressive and a game, and it's really, I admire you. It's great to see you in action.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Second place last year and this close to doing the double again.
With 3 players going through to the final, no one will want to fall at the final hurdle. Who will be all in and who will be out? Welcome back. The gentleman Liam Flood, last year's runner-up, is out, and Pippa Flanders with the knockout blow. She looks meek as a kitten, but she's had her claws into his chips, and 5 has now become 4. 1 more to go, and we'll have a full house of finalists for the grand prize of $200,000.
It's howdy bubble time. 4 left and only 3 can go forward, Kenna. And with 2 big, 2 small, there's kind of the potential here for someone to make a very big stack for the final table.
It certainly is. Right now, though, like you said, howdy doody, ring around the rosy. There's 4 people, but only 3 chairs, and when the music stops, who will be seated and who will have to get up and walk away?
Raise.
And
Raise.
Lyttle having a mindset, maybe right
45.
now, Kenna, that
45,000
he can
total.
raise
Pass.
Kevin Atkin with compunction.
Pass.
Well, both Kevin,
Is easy
Atkin, and Lawrence Bonet are fighting for that last seat between them, most likely, because they both have the short stacks. 50,000 for Atkin, 53,000 for Bonet. So
both of them have about 12 hands, and I think if they fold it all the way out, well,
it'd be close. You have to figure that out. I'm sure they've already thought of it. But like you said, Jesse, if they fold all the way out, if they're thinking that, or in that mindset, that means that Pippa, like any 2 cards, she should raise. Now, look here, Kevin Atkin.
He's moved in with 3-4.
Wow.
Does he have me covered there?
Bonet wants to know if he has him covered.
And
he has got a king. He's thinking about it.
Oh, I think he's going to make this call.
Yes, 35,000.
What has Kev Atkin showed that would make Lawrence Bonet think the king 6 is good?
Well, just the fact that he knows he doesn't want to be annied out of this tournament. And he knows that he has to survive Atkin if he is going to get that seat at the final. So if he goes against anybody, he wants to go against Atkin.
Brian Lyttle and Pippa Flanders very interested as well. And I can only imagine what Kev Atkin is thinking. Please don't call.
Well, that doesn't look like that. It looks like he's got his game face on.
He does.
And he's saying, if you call me, I will take you out.
Boy, his eyes have not moved.
Look at that look by Kev Atkin.
I call.
Call.
Wow.
And Bonet makes the call. A tremendous call.
Well, he's going to get a lot of positive reinforcement from seeing Atkin's cards, but Kenna, it's still a long way to the river from here.
A long way to the river. You are right, my friend. We have to go through the flop. Wow.
63% is Lawrence Bonet to go to the final table.
Will he do it? To the flop we go.
Atkin says, put up a pair for me. And that's not bad.
Oh, 3, 4, 5, 6, open-ended straight for Atkin.
Yeah, deuce or 7 would seal the deal right now for Kev Atkin.
But Bonet in the lead. The music is almost stopped. Who's going to grab for the chair? The last seat in the final. We go to the turn.
He could do running clubs. He couldn't do
Unbelievable.
running clubs.
Another out for Atkin. Any club, any deuce, any 7. And he will have the seat. Otherwise, it's Bonet's.
Oh, wow.
On the turn of a card, it's a club.
Oh, my. 3 of clubs. The difference.
Oh, my goodness. You have got to feel for Larry Bonet.
Well, you do, Kenna. But Kev Atkin showed courage of his convictions by moving in there. And the deck was on his side. Look at that hand. Bonet flopped the pair, but Atkin was up and down. The club on the turn gave him a draw, and the club on the river, the big black snake, the flush, to nearly take him through.
Well, that will leave Bonet with just a few precious chips.
3,000. Larry Bonet is all in on the small blind. And Kenna, this is automatic right here. He's going to have to win, I guess, 3 in a row.
Yeah, there's no decision now. I have seen it happen, but more than likely it's
a formality.
It's a formality. To be dealt out, he has no decision.
I guess the biggest chance of him surviving here is if aces versus kings gets picked up in the other 2 hands. Or some such.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Mark.
That's a good point.
But he would rather get there by virtue of doubling up his chips a few times, because that would still give him a chance
And your cards, please,
making an
gentlemen.
impact on the final table.
He has a reasonable hand. Not that that's helped him.
Yeah, the big hand was the last one. Bonet will need to win 2 or 3 here before he starts to consider destiny different. And right now he's all in against Brian Lyttle's Jack 3. And clubs are not going to be his favorite suit of the night.
No, it's he is finding irony, humor in the irony of the situation that he is most likely going to be clubbed to death.
Yeah, the Jack pair now, and it has to be a queen or an ace that's not a club, or else we have reached the final. Oh, wow.
What?
Straight.
Bonet somehow makes a straight and survives. I was just about ready to say my salutations to this
Back in this thing.
man.
Come on, Johnny, I'm coming back, says Lawrence Bonet.
Such a pleasure
No, the other one's over here, look.
to talk with him.
No, that's where I laughed.
He's a classy guy.
It'll be a club.
Class player. He's been handcuffed a bit by the deck tonight, Kenna.
A lot. And I wouldn't call them handcuffs. I would call them shackles. And it's, as we look at the chip distribution, that sliver of red is Bonet. It's a slight slice of the pie that offers very little hope of moving on. The other pieces taken up by Atkin, Lyttle in the green, and Flanders with the big piece.
I tell you, Flanders has an ominous number there, 282. I believe it's the exact same amount that Tony G is taken to the final table.
That's exactly right. I believe it was 282, so they'll be head-to-head if it should end here.
And
Race.
I'm kind of surprised to see Atkin do this, Kenna, in this situation. He's put a few chips in. If someone comes over the top of him,
35,000.
That's a
he
great
can't
point.
call.
He cannot call. That's right.
And
Otherwise,
they could do it with any hand.
That's right. Yeah, I wonder if anybody's going to be aware of this.
I mean, it's a real vulnerable play here.
Regardless of what Pippa's hand is here, she should move all in.
He could only call with aces, theoretically, and might even consider folding them. I mean...
Exactly right. You know, the strategic elements of this game, you know, at every point can't be overlooked because that was just money for the taking right there that neither Brian Lyttle or Pippa Flanders wanted to pick up. Kind of a nice, well, that's the nice way to go about it, I guess.
Wow, Atkin must be hell-bent on not just getting to the final, but getting there with chips.
Well, I think that strategic aspect was even lost on him at that point. Lawrence Bonet will move in here, I'm sure, with King 7 with his last few chips.
All in
I would
6.
imagine. And I wonder if Flanders and
Oh,
Atkin,
boy.
do they want to check it down, play cute, or does Pippa want the extra chips in Atkin's stack?
Well, I think Pippa will go for the extra chips and make a small raise here. Try and go heads up with him.
Pass.
Wow.
Pass.
Now,
how about that?
That was odd, Kennedy.
That was really odd. She elects to stay out of the way, and consequently, instead of being dominated, Bonet dominates Atkin.
I mean, that's amazing. He could be up against an A7. Instead, he's up against a King 6.
That is
what a swing.
That is the most bizarre turn of events I've seen in a long, long time, I got to tell you.
It's forthcoming in the middle for a split
What,
pot.
if that proves decisive, somebody's going to fall off their seesaw.
King, Queen, Jack 10. I said you can see almost everything here on the World Open. And there is the indication. This is looking more and more like a split pot anyway.
Current.
Oh! I take that back.
Has to be a 9 or ace for a split. A 7 for the win. Bonet can pack up his suitcase right now. He has not been able to beat Atkin when it mattered, and Lawrence Bonet on that bubble.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
Right. The nice gentleman, Lawrence Bonet, the U.S.
Now
Job
wait till
well
I get
done.
outside the
He'll
door
take
before you
home
start celebrating, because I might cry.
The final table is set. Very tight there at the end, and out in fourth on the bubble, Lawrence Bonet. Commiserations, Lawrence.
Oh, thank you.
I mean that last hand with the Kings. With the King 6, excuse me, King 6 twice, wasn't it?
King 6 once and King 7 the other time when he had King 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a great call. It was really the best situation you found the entire heat.
I had the pocket queens earlier, which I re-raised with, and outside of that, I think Ace 3 was maybe my best hand. I just didn't have. I didn't have anything.
You were like Michelangelo trying to make a sculpture with mud.
Right, very good analogy.
I was like a guy who was really hoping to see some better cards. That's what I was like.
You kept yourself in for a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean,
and.
Well, you played some good cards to get here. You got a nice cash here, a nice result, and you told me how much you love poker.
And I have.
What do you think now? Any plans for the future? You going to keep poker?
This won't be the last tournament I play. I had a blast. I just had so much fun, and I love the game, and hope to continue to learn, and I hope my game gets better, and I hope this isn't the best I do. So.
No, I'm sure it won't. You're a great gentleman and a really tough competitor. Sit tight for a minute.
It is great to hear that, Lawrence, because not only it's good you love to play, because we love to watch you. So see you next time.
So we have our final table. Let's take a look who's on it and who will start chip leaders or short stacked.
Looking at these starting stacks, Tony G will be the chip leader with 282,000. Very good start, closely followed by Pippa Flanders. Paul Christofferson and Brian Lyttle will be in the second flight, on average chips with about 200 each, but Kevin Atkin, John Houston, both in the hot seat, although not under pressure from the blinds, but under pressure from the other players.
Pippa Flanders leaves this semi-final table chip leader. The lady with the golden touch is with Jessie May and cowboy Kenna James.
What a semi-final, and we are here with the chip leader from that semis, Pippa Flanders. Nice roller coaster ride in there, Pippa.
It certainly was. I feel like I've been on the big one at Blackpool.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
I mean,
much.
there was so much impressive stuff you did, but really to hold it all together when you were so low early on, what were you thinking?
I kept thinking, Tim will kill me. Tim will kill me. I knew as soon as I called Brian, I shouldn't have called him with that ace-9. It was a stupid call because he was bound to have better cards. It was just a rush of blood to the head, and I just had to try and sort of dampen it down.
Recover from it.
Yes.
You mentioned Tim Flanders played in this event. Didn't unfortunately experience the same results as you have. Is this going to stir up the competitive juices at home? And
No. I know he's the better card player, and he knows he's the better card player.
Well, you need a little bit of luck, a lot of skill. My tip for you is don't keep the donkey, Eeyore, too far away from your side. He's certainly worked in your favor so far, and you've played some great cards as well.
You have, and you're going to have a big stack for that final table. What are your thoughts? What's your strategy going to be?
I haven't thought about it yet. I just concentrated on getting through the semi, but I shall go away and have a think about it.
Well, we can't wait, Pippa. $200,000 on offer for the final. Join us next week. Tony G, Pippa Flanders, Brian Lyttle, Johnny Texas Houston, and more on the partypoker.net World Open.